Hi, colleagues. Jess Wires here from Durfee High School, Fall River. I wanted to let you guys know I've been doing a lot of reading up, a lot of looking at different schools, how they're supporting their L's during this time of the necessary remote learning. And there's not a whole lot of clear answers. However, based on some of the reading I've done, some of the experimental stuff I've done with my students, and based on just good practice and SEI strategies that we should be using in our classroom, I've come up with a couple of little ideas, little tips that might help you work with your or support your L's while they're trying to do their work at home. What we have right now is this great opportunity that we're still able to have these face to face conversations with students. We're still able to do this facial instructional time with our students. Obviously, it doesn't replace what we do in the classroom, but it does provide more support that 20 years ago didn't exist. One thing that I've talked to my students about is they are struggling with just being able to see their teachers at times. They have the work that they're supposed to be doing, or most of them have the work that they're supposed to be doing. Maybe they don't understand it, but because of the context that they're in, their living context, when they when their parents found out that they would be home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, now until May 4th, they automatically became additional workers. So many of them are going out and still working, even though we're trying to socially distance ourselves, right? They also became instant babysitters because the parents, whether documented or undocumented, are going out and making money that they need, and they're home with the three, four, five little brothers, little sisters, little cousins, little neighbors that are in their homes. So sometimes they're not able to get online. We also know that many of the L's in our school, Durfee specifically, but I would guess most schools, right? Um, if they're in a chat room, let's say, I know it's not really a chat room, but let's just call it that for sake of what it is, right? They're not always going to be the first ones to speak up. They're very conscious, self-conscious about how they sound, about their accents. It's much harder for them to swallow their pride and ask a question if they don't understand something. I wanted to give you guys a couple of examples of what would work, what would help, what would more support our students in this time of need as far as instruction. One thing that my students love is when I'm able to do a YouTube video and post it in my Google Classroom, even if it's just reading the story that they were supposed to read on their own, reading it aloud so that they can hear it after they've had the text for, a week, so that they can hear it from me. Another thing is just short check in YouTube videos where I'm just literally checking in with them, giving them the news of the day, telling them how what I'm doing that day, telling them how, my kids are going crazy, or just engaging them in that back and forth. Yes, it's not back and forth on YouTube, but often I'll get comments on it like, oh, my little brother was acting the same way. So just having that, keeping that connection with the students, they really thrive on that. And then the other thing is if you're giving an assignment on Google Classroom or in the Google Drive, the continuity of learning Google Drive that is posted on FRPS website, right? It's great to have those. And I have one example. It's great to have those and have that knowledge, right? And have the instructions and provide the materials. But sometimes, especially with multitasks, the L's, the special ed students, or students who just learn differently, we all have different learning abilities, right? They need it broken down a little bit more. Sometimes they just need the instructions read out loud to them. Maybe they don't understand the directions as they're written and they need them clarified. And I'm not saying that nobody does this. I'm saying that it's just something that YouTube or a video could definitely help with. So I'm going to give you an example. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to give you a very simple example of how I might introduce a worksheet or something for an L. Excuse my children as they yell in the background, sorry. But this is, I'm using my my son, his second grade worksheet on identifying quadrilaterals. And yes, I know we are not teaching our students how to identify quadrilaterals, but it's a really simple example because it's just one page. So I'm going to pretend I'm the teacher here, and I want to send a video to my students who are trying to identify quadrilaterals. All right. So this was sent home. And there was directions, but again, I'm just using this example. All right, guys. Today, one of your assignments is going to be identifying quadrilaterals. It's going to be reversed. There are things in YouTube. How you do it can make it unreversed. I don't know how to explain that. Reverse it. I don't know. So on this page that everyone should have in front of them, the directions say, count the sides of each shape and answer the questions. You see all these shapes here? The first step we're going to do is count how many sides are on a square. Let's do the first one together. Square has how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I'd like you to do is write a 4 in the middle of the shape. All right? So I want you to do that first, and I'm going to wait a couple minutes, and then I'll go on and explain. You wait, right? All right, guys, now it's your turn, right? So a quadrilateral is a shape with 4 sides. How many sides? 4. 4 sides. Which shapes are quadrilaterals? To find a quadrilateral, how many sides should there be? 4. 4 sides. Let's see. How many of these have 4 sides? And they'll count, or you'll count, maybe point to the ones that have 4 sides. Now that you've pointed to them, write down the names of these shapes. 4 shapes. Now what I'd like you to do is answer the rest of these questions as best as you can. All right? Once you have this, you'll be able to tell me when we get back to school, how do we know what a quadrilateral is? Do you think you can find out why we call a pentagon a pentagon? If you figure it out, send me an email to let me know. All right? Thank you. All right, so really simple lesson, and obviously we're high school. We're not going to teach that way, right? But that's what you might want to do. All of the visuals that you're doing applies no matter what age. I'm going to talk differently because that was my second grade voice. Now, let me show you something a little more high school. I just pulled an assignment off of the continuity of learning drive, all right? And I know, this is no offense, I literally just grabbed something, but I didn't want to grab something from that was too I didn't want to grab something that was too involved. So I just grabbed one assignment off of the science, and it's a unit on food and nutrition, or an assignment on food and nutrition. All right. So I also know that the science department, that the ELL teachers actually put together different assignments for those kiddos. So that's awesome. So this is just looking at those higher L's that are not quite beginners, but they're middle of the road kids that we still need to provide accommodations for. So this assignment, and I don't even know what grade level this is, I'll be honest. So, all right, guys. So food and nutrition. Yeah, let me see if I can do it this way. All right, guys. So today, your assignment is on food and nutrition. That's not very clear, but the first task for you to do, so the first thing you're going to do is read the chapter. The second thing you're going to do is, on a separate sheet of paper, you're going to answer all 5 questions on page 977 in the section assessment. So that's all 5 questions. 977 is going to be the last page. As you can see, there are a lot of text. There's a lot of text here. All right. What I'd like you to pay most attention to is, first of all, you're going to look at your title and your subtitles. Remember, the subtitles are the words or the sections, the words that are in highlight or bolded. We're going to make sure we look at all of the visuals before we even start reading. Take a look at the tables, any vocabulary that's highlighted throughout. All right. And I want you to keep in mind that, yes, this looks like a lot, but you can go through carefully. And where there's a key, that means that you're going to be looking at this in one of the questions. All right. Now, like I said, I know this looks like a lot, guys. It's very important that while you're reading this, you have a highlighter or a pen, okay? As you're reading it, I want to make sure that you underline or circle or highlight any words that you're not familiar with. If you're not familiar with the word burning, which is in the second paragraph under the first subtitle, Food and Energy, I want you to circle it or highlight it, because that's a word that you're going to want to go back to and just make sure it doesn't affect how you're learning the information. I want you to also notice that on the first page of the text, right here, it says Guide for Reading. It has the key concept questions, and it has this vocabulary. This vocabulary is really important. If you're able to identify these and tell me what they mean, that's going to help your understanding of the text. I also want you to keep in mind finding main ideas. So before you read, you're going to skim the section to identify the key ideas, then carefully read the section, making a list of supporting details for each main idea. So like I said, when you identify the subtitles, as you go in, after you identify the subtitles, you're going to skim the text once and identify any key ideas. If you're able to do this, this will help you when it comes time to answer these questions. Now, guys, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let you do your work. I will post a second YouTube with other ideas or other hints that might help you with these questions. All right? I hope you guys enjoy the reading. And when you do, I will be so excited to talk to you guys when we come back from this extended break. All right? Have a great day. Bye. All right. So again, you may want to send out a quick email to your Ls or your students who struggle sometimes and say, hey, make sure you watch the YouTube. Hey, I know there's 5 questions in this section. Why don't you just stick to numbers 1, 2, and 5? Maybe you just want to identify a couple of the questions instead of making them go through and answer all 5 of them. There are ways that you can differentiate regardless of the text that you're giving, whether it's second grade math, high school food and nutrition, ceramics. It doesn't matter what you're giving. There are ways to differentiate. But one of the things that help the students the most are different modalities for learning. Just giving them the text written out is not necessarily going to help with the accommodations for the students. I would definitely suggest getting some FaceTime, not only just doing Zoom or Google Meet, but also explaining assignments so that they can see you. All right. If you have any other questions about accommodating for your Ls, I'm going to continue to do research and read up on ways that we can best support them. But for now, those are 2 of the simpler ways, or one of the simpler ways, not FaceTime, but time with the face, that will help you the most. All right? Until later, stay safe.